found dead. Go further. Imagine the entire planet Earth, one huge meteorite comes and break it all down. So nature, as a course that it goes from simplicity to the complexity of producing intelligent being, during the process things may not go. Nature kills itself. It does not have a mechanism to protect itself. Therefore, nature definitely has flaws in it. So man, with his intelligence, comes down here to fix those flaws. If man has to bear a child and one woman cannot have the child because it has to be C-section, the knowledge of man says that, okay, let's repair that. So I put it this way to him, that God and man are the two phases of the intelligence. One outside of the universe, one is inside. Well, like a nanotechnology of God, human being is. That comes in the universe, try to fix things up. God is not happy as a maker or as a viewer. If nature is a part of him, as it is factory, as something God comes with this creation, whatever it is, it's unhappy with it. Definitely the intelligent being watches this, does not want to see the life on the earth gets destroyed by certain object comes from the space. Basically like a Nintendo game that you start to go to the last episode, but you just keep failing and you have to restart and restart. If you call this perfection, then you don't understand the nature itself, you see. Nature itself said, I'm failing because I was supposed to do this, but event happened that I couldn't do it. So man is that nanotechnology. It comes down here trying to do it. So the relationship of outside of the universe of God with this universe is through his factory. His factory is nature. He has made this nature. There are buttons, as I said, in the nature that you could touch it and things happens. And those buttons, I call it possibilities in the nature. There are all kind of possibilities. When things happens in the nature, there's a design, there's a possibility that the matter falls in that possibility and shapes comes up, things comes up. And the other way that God communicates and fixes nature is through a human being, through some intelligent being such as human being right now. So, as I said in the past episodes, as Abdul-Baha says, if the Baha'is, if all the people in the, he used that Greenland, if all the people in Greenland, they become Baha'i, they understand the truth, all the ices will melt. This sounds a little bit difficult, because you say that, how is this possible? We have to know all the effect and interactions between the metaphysical and the physical world is always there an explanation to it. When we do not know it, we think it's a miracle. It is a miracle, miraculous process, but there's a process, okay? It can even be copied. So, in the other example I mentioned, that when Baha'ullah went to Akka, the weather was so bad, the air, that a bird was flying, fell down from the sky down. Probably a lot of sulfur in the air. But when Baha'u'llah goes there, the weather changes. So if you do not know weather and knowledge of that and climates, then you think it's a miracle. But in reality, what happened? Suez Canal became open and the weather got changed. So it is not a miracle, it is, because so many years was there and nothing happened. Because Baha'u'llah went there, he influenced his spiritual power, because he had to stay in that city, he could not die. That power makes the mind of certain people who are in the process of being able to do that, come down to decide to make this Suez Canal to be open. That causes that. So a lot of time this interaction cannot be understood, that how directly and indirectly they affect. If we know it, then we say, oh, okay, this was the science of the matter. But is there a science? Always. Is there a means to do it? Always. The process always goes through a thing. It's not a, paranormal activity only because we do not know it. All right? And let's get to this part as well, which I thought I explained a little bit, but I'm going to have to go a little bit more on that. Is this effect of seeing the future? This is the problem. How does this work? There are a lot of people, as I said, I've seen in my life, that they see the event in future. They're not necessarily Baha'is. They're not necessarily people of God. But they can see it. If this is the case, we have to say this is a talent. In some places, Abdul says there was certain learned Muslim divine priest who was very skilled in the knowledge of the numerology. Arab they call it Jafr, a holy mathematics way of knowing things. And Abdul says the gentleman, he uses this knowledge of Jafr and numerology to find out when the event happens in future, and he found out that so-and-so date the promised one comes. He found it. Met the promised one, he didn't accept it. He actually predicted that he comes in so-and-so time, but he did not accept it. Because when he saw him, he said, no, this is not who I thought it is. So, knowing the things that some people do and say that we know in the future and whatnot, it's a talent. And as this gentleman that I was talking to, this young Baha'i, he said it's also interest. Like Einstein had a talent in mathematics, but he was also interested in it as well. So when the interest and talent comes together, it makes a lot of us prominent in certain field. But this talent of the spirit, though, if it is a talent that some have and some don't, immediately becomes a material faculty. That must be some genes behind it that one, inherit, because we know through the inheritance one can become a mathematician, other become has a skills in music or other things. Definitely it could be some kind of a genes behind it. And then people, the early years, they discover it and they work on it. This is why simply you can see one is a better hockey player than the other one. They both worked same amount of time, but yet one of them is better than the other one. So that kind of a talent, that is an inheritance. But spirituality, but saying the future, it has to happen through the thinking, therefore a spiritual power. Would the spirits and the spiritual power, would they have differences? That is not true. Can't be. What it is then, all the spirits are able to see the future. But to express themselves, they have to have a brain. The body had to be able to receive the message. Here's the problem. Certain bodies, like mine, is not as good as to receive the messages and all the time. Okay? Every spirit. But sometimes really the issue becomes so important for the life of the body and the event that happens that you can see even all kind of people, they have those kind of dreams. So it is a talent, a physical talent in our fabric to manifest those things. The spirit themselves, they're all must be able to have that power, just like the sport people. So as I mentioned, Abdullah says the fellow knew in the knowledge of future but didn't accept it. Because to believe in the truth, you have to have certain truth yourself in it in order to be able to detect and register Baha'ullah. You have to have something of him in you. Just like you must have some kind of a talent in physics in order to enjoy Einstein and know him and recognize him, or you must have some background in matter of music in order to be able to recognize and enjoy Mozart or Beethoven. So if you want to know Baha'u'llah, this kind of a talent would not help you. You must have that spirit of kindness and loving and giving and generosity, because that's who he is. If you have those things in you, you are able to recognize him. So let's go back and try to analyze this talent and how that interaction works. Bring it up in a more vivid way. Very well. We know as a human being, as I explained through all these videos, we have a body together. My soul and my body is all one being. But part of me in this time zone, because I have a body, my computer is in time zone. But then I have a spirit. I call that will zone. It's in the zone of willpower. My body and brain is in the time zone. We have to understand this interaction between time zone and will zone. All right. I guess we're going to get to it now. We don't need to take the matter again, get in the language of mysterious language, trying to go to the other life. Let's just stay right here. Since the soul is in us, and I'm speaking right now, my soul talking, and your soul is listening, because my animal would not be able to understand words and vocabularies. So let's see right here. Let's bring the example, a real example of this interaction between a spirit and matter right here. Let's say two guys there. One guy, scratched somebody's hand, and he could use medicines or whatever, or just let it go, and after 1 week or 10 days, this will heal up. But it needs time. But if he insults him, he says one bad word to him. Now that bad word goes to the will zone. If the person does not have the willpower to forgive him or to dodge it or just let it go, he might get hurt forever. I would never forget that bad words that was insulted him, because it's a spiritual hurting, and the spirit is not in time zone, it's in will zone. The spirit gets injured. Okay? So this is the difference between time zone and will zone. Right now here, a lot of things that we do is spiritual. Clearly it's a will zone. Okay? And some of it is time zone. In the next life, there is no time. It's a will. If you have no willpower when you're here, so everyone can predict this. This young Baha'i mentioned to me that, he brought it up, that why is that the spiritual people and non-spiritual people, Baha'is and non-Baha'is, they all have the same talent right now to predict things, to see dreams that occurs, that happens. And he explained, because we're not dead, we're all alive. Because we're all alive, just like the students in the schools, while you're in a class and in the grade, nobody can give you a failing mark till the time comes. When we die, then the differentiation occurs. But until then, we're all dealt equally. Why? Because Baha'u'llah says that no one knows his own end. He says at the hour of death, one may go to heaven and one may not. One may go to hell. In that case, until such time that we are dead, we're all having this equal opportunity. Okay.